Hello and welcome back to Earth of Mystery. Today we'll be going over the mysterious yet legendary story behind Glenn and Bessie Hyde, a couple that disappeared while on their boat through the Colorado River in the Grand Canyon. If you enjoy viewing or listening to this type of content from the comfort of your home or setting, please like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our future content. Given how long ago the events of this story took place, and the fact that not much has been officially confirmed, there are many versions out there as to what may have actually happened. On this video, I will try and provide as much context as possible for a comprehensive story from beginning to end. Glenn Roland Hyde was born on December 9, 1898. He grew up to a farmer family in a town called Twin Falls in Idaho. He grew up to be an avid outdoorsman and enjoyed water activities such as boating and rafting. In Idaho, when he was 20 years of age and accompanied by a friend who taught him most of what he knew about vessels, he traversed the Salmon and Snake rivers successfully. Bessie Louis Haley was born on December 29, 1905. Not much is known about her childhood, however. It is said that she was an art student, so unlike Glenn, Bessie did not really have much experience in any type of water activities. Glenn and Bessie met in 1927 when traveling to Los Angeles by boat. At the time, Bessie was working on finalizing her divorce from when she lived in a city called Parkersburg, West Virginia. And on April 10, 1928, the day after Bessie officialized her divorce, Glenn and Bessie finally got married. The couple wanted to do something daring and adventurous for their honeymoon. So, in October 1928, they set off to Green River in Utah. There, Glenn, being an expert boat builder, built a 20-foot wooden sweep scow and named it Rain in the Face. For context, a scow is a small type of boat similar to what we know as a barge. Some of them are rigged as sailing boats. They were popular in the 19th and early 20th century to carry cargo in coastal and inland waterways, and their design had an edge when traversing shallow waters and small harbors. Glenn had always been interested in the challenging Colorado River in the Grand Canyon, because at the time this was considered a challenging river which many were trying to conquer but few had. So, on October 20th, 1928, the couple set off down the canyons of the Grand and Colorado rivers. This was going to be their honeymoon adventure trip. For context, the Grand Canyon stretches for 277 miles, measures 4 miles in width at the narrowest point, and 18 miles at the widest. And overall, it averages around 1 mile in depth. Covering more than 1.2 million acres, the semi-arid canyon consists of raised plateaus, steep-walled canyons, desert basins at lower elevations, and forests at higher elevations. Glenn wanted to set a new speed record for traveling on the river through the Grand Canyon, while also putting Bessie in the record books as the first documented woman to run the Grand Canyon. Their general plan was to travel from the Green River and arrive at Needles, California by early December. According to what was detailed in Bessie's journal, the first stretch of the route was relatively uneventful, and the scow really held up to its standards, being able to withstand the Colorado River well. They were making good progress because they seemed to have been ahead of schedule. On November 16, they stopped to collect additional supplies, so they traveled by land through Bright Angel Trail. On this journey, they met brothers Ellsworth and Emery Kolb. The Kolbs owned and operated a cliffside studio at the south rim of the Grand Canyon. They were widely known in the area for their legendary photographs. After Glenn and Bessie introduced themselves, they explained that they were on their honeymoon rafting the Colorado River. By then, they had been rafting for around 26 days. They then asked the Kolbs to take several pictures of them for memories, and that once the trip concludes, they would return to collect the pictures. After some time of interacting, the Kolbs noticed that neither Glenn or Bessie were wearing life jackets, nor they had any on board their vessel. After voicing their concern to them, Glenn quickly brushed it off and stated that they really would not be needing them, being as they were already half through their journey and it had not been a problem thus far. Bessie, on the other hand, seemed nervous and a little reluctant for the remainder of the journey along the river. Shortly before leaving, Bessie looked at the Kolb's daughter, Emily, and the last thing that they recount Bessie said was, "I wonder if I shall ever wear pretty shoes again." This was kind of an eerie comment to make. Nonetheless, they did not really think much of it. After they got back on the boat, the Kolb's friend, Adolf G. Sutro, went ahead and joined Glenn and Bessie several miles down the river before they parted ways at the Hermit Rapids Point. By early December, which was around the time that Glenn and Bessie were supposed to have completed their journey down at California, no one had heard from them yet, and they had also failed to retrieve the pictures from the Kolbs. So with no time to lose, Emery Kolb initiated a search of the area, including an aerial search which they requested. While flying through the inner gorge of the canyon, the pilot was able to spot the Hyde Scow near a riverbank at mile 237. When the search party got this information, they quickly mobilized to the area where the scow was seen. They found the scow to be undamaged and in almost perfect condition. They found everything securely packaged. Their food, clothing, and Bessie's journal were all properly stowed away. The only thing missing was just Glenn and Bessie. A camera that the Hydes had shed some light as to their last known location alive. The last picture taken was near River Mile 165 on November 27. Bessie's journal, however, had entries that dated up to November 30th, revealing that all in all, the Hydes had spent another 12 days on the water after their final contact with Adolf and the Kolbs. Based on her journal, they had made it to Diamond Creek, which was around 12 miles away from where the scow was eventually found abandoned. Glenn's father, Reed Hyde, quickly joined in on the search and hired a group of men to search the canyon within the area where Glenn and Bessie likely traveled. However, nothing was ever found. At this point, their disappearance case went cold for many decades. The lack of any conclusive evidence on the couple's fate sparked a myriad of theories as to what happened to them. One of these theories took place in 1971. Around 43 years after the Hydes had gone missing, a group of people were on a river tour through the Grand Canyon. While telling each other stories around a campfire, a woman by the name Elizabeth Cutler sprung out and said that she was Bessie Hyde. She said that she had stabbed and killed Glenn, then hiked out of the Grand Canyon, had kept it a secret ever since. This theory was then quickly debunked when police and reporters went to interview Cutler, and she flat out denied ever making those claims of being Bessie. Similar to the first one, another theory suggests that Glenn was an abusive husband and the Colorado River trip was making him behave even worse, Bessie. Bessie then grew tired of this, killed him, and hiked out to start a new life with a new identity. It is said that back then it was much easier to get a new identity as compared to nowadays. However, these claims were discounted by many of Glenn's friends, stating that Glenn was not an abusive person and that he loved Bessie very much. The idea that Glenn was murdered persisted, and in 1977, 6 years after Cutler falsely claimed to be Bessie, a human skeleton was found in the Kolb's garage at their studio. After some analysis, authorities determined that the skeleton likely belonged to a man that died in his 20s and who matched Glenn's height and body build. This then sparked the idea that the Coles may have murdered the Hydes. By then, Kolb had died and was unable to provide any information about the skeleton. But in 2008, his name was cleared when it was determined that the skeleton remains belonged to a man that had self-inflicted a gunshot wound to the head in 1933. It is suspected that Kolb had the skeletal remains of the man because he served as a county coroner jury representative for the Grand Canyon. Why the remains were still in his garage, no one really knows. Yet another theory came to light, similar to the ones mentioned already, but this time from a woman called Georgie Clark. She was a legendary river guide. Now, unlike the other stories that really did not have much to go on, this one did. Georgie was said to be a very reclusive person. She had friends, but none of them, not even her close friends, had ever entered her home. When Georgie passed away back in 1992, some of her friends were at her house cleaning up, and that's when they came across documents that indicated that her real name was actually Bessie DeRose. And this was not all they found. They also came across the marriage certificate of Glenn and Bessie Hyde at her home too. Although all of this was strange, given that the Clarks' early life was well documented, the authorities did not think it would warrant reopening the case. Other theories that did not have to do with Glenn or Bessie turning on each other also emerged, such as Glenn and Bessie accidentally drowning, given that on 1928 River Mile 232 was not charted, and nowadays it is regarded as one of the most brutal sections of the river, and they really did not have the appropriate equipment to tackle this area. Now, nearly a century since the Hydes were last seen, the reason they vanished remains a mystery. But the most likely explanation for their disappearance does not involve murder or secret identities. As previously mentioned, the couple were braving notorious waters without life jackets or any safety means. It is very possible that a big enough rapid could have easily swept them overboard while leaving their tied-down supplies intact. The bottom of the Grand Canyon was also much less trafficked and developed in the 1920s than it is today. That, combined with the powerful waters of the Colorado River, would have made it easy for two bodies to disappear without a trace. To this day, the remains of Glenn and Bessie Hyde had never been found, nor has any new evidence emerged that might suggest their whereabouts or what occurred on that fateful day in 1928. As for their scow, the last piece of recorded information was that Emery Kolb cut it loose near mile 237. It then floated downriver until the waterway swallowed it. It was never revealed why Emery Kolb set the Hydes boat loose. So, what do you all think may have happened to the Hydes? And of all the theories, is there one that resonates the most?
If you are still here, many thanks for watching, and again, please like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our future content. As you can see, this channel is just starting out, so please feel free to comment below with any suggestions or recommendations that you may have. I hope to see you at the next one.